Hey guys, MrPokke here. Today we are gonna be taking a look at the Quadra Zero Cycle featuring Hysilens, or more specifically DOT comp as a whole. So I'll just be showing you guys the 4 different Memory of Chaos bosses between the first half and second half was the recently updated Svarog as well as Aventurine that we should be playing right now, as well as the upcoming Memory of Chaos 12 boss that is gonna be Gepard, as well as a brand new boss mechanic. So if you guys wanna, no spoilers or whatever for version 3.5, feel free to just skip the final boss. I will just remove the name, but yep, that is gonna leave it all the way to its end. So before we jump into the actual Zero Cycle itself, these are gonna be the builds, and once again, like I mentioned, for all of these like Quadra Zero Cycles, I'm not doing this from like a low cost, min-max, ego 4-piece, everything. I just basically use what the game gave me for the most part, with the 4-piece DOT across almost every single one of my DOT units, and I hit it down with the vertical investments for the E1 Kafka, E1 Hysilens, as well as E1 Black Swan with their respective signature light cones, right? Then for the Kafka side, I do believe that the tutorial mission begins is pretty much gonna be her best slot, and you can actually min-max this Kafka a little bit better to hit 200 effective speed by giving her a 4-piece ego, just because of the ultimate frequency on Kafka nowadays is just ridiculously high. So running 4-piece ego on her might be a better perspective, but I just use what I have essentially, right? So I'm gonna be breaking you guys down with the first half, which is Svarog as well as Aventurine, and then just showing you guys how the run is gonna look like. For the last slot, which is gonna be this Runmei slot over here, you can opt for either a Runmei, or if you want to actually go for a sustainless, I actually went ahead and slapped on E0S1 Huan, and I actually dealt so much damage that with a sustain against Svarog, it was actually extremely doable, especially considering this Memory of Chaos 12 does give you this additional burn DOT, right? So without further ado, let's just go into the run itself. So this is going to be the first run against Svarog, where I basically used on the E1 DOT team. So and once again, the team card is going to be shown somewhere around here with a E0S1 Huan as a sustain, because we do deal enough damage, more than enough damage to get through this Svarog phase with the amount of synergies we're going to be getting from Black Swan. Yeah, I kind of want to use this video as an example to show how vertical investments on DOT can be extremely strong, especially if you have gotten the E1 Hysilens, you have E1 Black Swan, all that kind of stuff. So for DOT mains that have been doing nothing but locked in for DOT, rest assured, this E1 vertical investment is definitely gonna be very strong in terms of performance. I essentially went off with a Hysilens basic attack over here in order to prevent Auto Mature from triggering one of his stacks too early, and you can see 237k purely from the passive of the DOT from Arcana and all of the bleeds is gonna be very nice. Getting our Black Swan to apply the defense down, and then our Kafka follow-up goes back in for another trigger of 494,000, and at this point, ideally, you actually just want him to just go ahead and summon the goldfish, and after he summons the goldfish, you hit it with a pop, and then all of the goldfish will explode, which gives you a little bit of a 60% defense reduction on the wolf in case you run out of damage over here. So if you are lacking a little bit of damage over here, don't worry, let him summon and let's pop off the Kafka ultimate. It's gonna be more than enough. Hysilens is gonna jump in over here to basically go for another basic attack, because at this point I know I have way too much damage, so there is absolutely zero use for my Hysilens to use a skill, because I'm just gonna saving everything all the way to the last rotation over here. So now at this point, Kafka goes back in for the proc over here. Huan is gonna go for the basic attack, Kafka follows with the follow-up, and that is gonna give us a very nice full ultimate 4 skill points into wave 2. And as I mentioned, I brought this up before, I want to activate my Black Swan's Arcana first real quick, get them down with this vulnerability as well as the Epiphany stack going on, and now we activate our Hysilens ultimate on Hysilens turn, so that because it's gonna be a zone ultimate, which you can see the buff is gonna be taken down during the start of her turn. So you want to ideally make sure this goes on her turn itself, so that you can maybe get 1 turn more extra in case you use it outside of Hysilens turn. And then finally, Kafka goes in for the AoE DOT trigger for a 550,000. Huan finally popping off the ultimate for the energy regeneration as well as the 40% attack buff. Hysilens now can pop into the skill as well as the follow-up. Now unfortunately, this follow-up attack from Kafka is going to be purely RNG, because Hysilens skill is going to be AoE, so it's just 50-50. Ideally hit Svarog because the wolf is going to die very soon. If not, then you just have to kind of pray for it, right? Same thing for the DOT. We're going to be going for the defense reduction from Black Swan. Svarog hits Huan, which honestly, whoever he hits over here, it doesn't really matter, because we're not really playing this with like Sunday and Final, right, Sunday, or any Sunday-related teams where action very delayed from Svarog is going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass. So we do get hit from Hue over here, but we see 470,000 on the Wolf, and we are going to be very, very comfortable as he goes into enraged mode, and we have a Hue sustain. Now at this point, you just basically all in Svarog to deal 700,000 damage, and the Wolf is going to instantly pop over there. Hue at this point, I know I don't even need to cast my skill anymore because we're almost definitely going to be killing him. So I went for the ultimate for 554. Hue's basic attack allows us to trigger another Fraud from Quadra for 433, and finally one more hit from Hysilens, and he's pretty much gonna die right here. By the time his turn begins, he's gonna pop and everything's DOT. You can see 47 steps of Arcana. We won't even need to wait for his turn to begin. Quadra goes in for one last skill, and that is pretty much going to begin for the zero cycle using the Hue sustain, right? So at this point, some pointers to take note: if you are not gonna be having so many vertical investments, so for example, if you're gonna be running a E0 Hysilens, E0 Kafka, E0 Black Swan, just keep in mind, if you really want a zero cycle, then perhaps you do want to consider a run Mei to drastically improve your damage output. But if you want a more comfortable clear, just know that this is purely for the sake of zero cycles, for entertainment, all that kind of stuff. So you definitely don't need the E1s, but from a damage perspective, even DOT right now is gonna be at a very nice spot in this particular scenario, right? So that is gonna be the Svarog zero cycle, and now I'm gonna jump into Aventurine with the exact same team comp, except I changed out my run Mei into the Hue slot because we do need the additional damage from run Mei, the res pen, the damage percentage, even the break efficiency is gonna help us a little bit. The delay from the Thanatoblum rebloom is gonna help us because Aventurine is a really be at least much more considerably difficult compared to Svarog. So at this point, everything else is gonna be as is. We are actually holding on to our run Mei ultimate because I know for a fact that we deal more than sufficient damage. You can see over here, now that we have a sustainers team, the damage from DOT is gonna go completely off the charge, instantly killing this guy. So you can see over here, we're not gonna be using, like I mentioned, run Mei's ultimate because we deal more than sufficient damage. So one last basic from run Mei, triggering Kafka's follow-up. You can see over here, this is actually killing a little bit fast because we are unable to get our skill points as well as energy for Hysilens, Kafka, and Black Swan. Unlike the Svarog zero cycle previously, which, you know, we entered into phase 2 with pretty much everything up and ready, right? And against Aventurine, this is actually gonna be okay because first of all, we actually outspeed Aventurine from the very first rotation over here. And in case you do not outspeed Aventurine, you pretty much need to cast off a Danzan, right? So this Danzan is gonna push your team up a little bit higher just in case you couldn't hit the respective speed thresholds. So yes, run Mei is gonna be on S5 DDD over here, pop off the ultimate, give us a team wide action very advanced, but we were already outspeeding, so it doesn't change too much. So at this point, unfortunately, because we didn't get the maximum ultimate, we're gonna have to waste a little bit of an action over here. But at this point, it's not gonna be that big of a deal because I still want to wait for Black Swan's ultimate to kick in, and then afterwards, run Mei is gonna pop in over here with a skill. Unfortunately, we are gonna be losing out on Black Swan's defense reduction, which is gonna be a little bit unfortunate. But you can see that the damage is still extremely substantial, 538,962 before Black Swan ultimate even begins. So at this point, I was thinking, okay, you know what? Since we're already dealing this much damage, it would actually be ideal for us to store Black Swan's ultimate into the next wave, right? We want to store Black Swan ultimate in the wave, and luckily because we have +1 skill point regeneration from Hysilens, we are able to essentially get this done even without running the additional skill point from run Mei signature like, right? So Black Swan is gonna go for the basic because there's no point casting your defense down at this point since he's gonna die and remove all the debuffs anyway, which is one of the biggest issues DOTs have, especially with regards to zero cycles, because the moment the boss changes phase, which is, you know, okay, absolutely ridiculous damage, 571k, every single one of the debuffs that he would have sustained just now will be gone instantly. So you have to restack everything once again. But luckily, because of Hysilens, we do get 4 steps of Arcana over here from the additional physical DOT, so that's not too bad. So now that this phase begins, we are gonna instantly pop in with all of our debuffs. So pop in with the vulnerability as well as the burn. Kaga follows for 336. Black Swan now casts her ultimate, and then now at this point, we are just gonna go in for this hit over here, and then afterwards, Run Mei is gonna go for the basic attack as well as the Kafka's ultimate, and then we have basically 3 DOT triggers, 1 from Kafka's ultimate, 2 more from the follow attack. So Run Mei hits this once, Kafka follows for 338. Black Swan casts 1 last defense down, Kafka follow. So at this point over here, if you cannot kill Aventurine at this particular phase, the run is pretty much over for a zero cycle because once he goes into the dice, he's invincible and he's gonna take action in the next cycle. So ideally, you kill him right here down to 0%, and that is going to be the Aventurine zero cycle. You're definitely gonna need quite a substantial amount of damage because if you do not have the damage, you are unable to skip all of his phases, namely the energy Saki phase where he drains all of your team's energy, as well as the part where you know challenge your entire team to a duel, and that is usually the run killer for zero cycle, at least if you're talking about an Aventurine perspective, right? So just from pure raw damage stacking running this E1 DOT premium team with the sustainers running, you are pretty much able to ignore every single one of Aventurine's mechanics and just bypass the whole thing, getting the zero cycle. But if you're not going to be having enough speed or damage, then just place this normally with a sustain, because DOTs inherently they all have AoE anyways, right? Black Swan has AoE, Hysilens has AoE, and Quadra has an adjacent targeting. You don't really need to fear that much for Aventurine boss, even if you want to run DOT on the second half. Hue is going to be a little bit of an issue if you're going to be running a sustain, because you know Hue can't do the AoE targeting, but we do have the cleanse, so it's still not going to be that bad. So players that do want to use DOT on the second half, because for whatever reason you want to run, for maybe you want to run like I don't know, a saber on the first half, or maybe you want to run like a blade on the first half, then saving DOT for the second half against Aventurine is still going to be workable, right? So that is going to be our Aventurine zero cycle. And just yeah, I'm going to be showing you guys all of the build, energy regeneration, everything towards the end of this video over here. Now we're gonna go into the next zero cycle, and that is the upcoming Memory of Chaos 12 boss after this reset, which is going to be Gepard as well as the secret boss, and that is going to be the brand new enemy, which is going to be the Manta Ray. The Manta Ray's mechanic is quite straightforward. He's going to debuff you, which means your team take more damage, and after the first debuff, he's going to summon 2 more Manta Rays, you guys can see, but generally speaking, not too crazy of a boss, and we are still going to be running the Gepard zero cycle, brand new MOC 12 with a sustain for Hysilens, Kafka, Hue, and Black Swan, right? We're still going to be going for this zero cycle with a sustain from Hue, so the exact same team which we use for the Svarog side as well, so goes back in for the exact same thing. And because I know we deal so much damage, I'm actually trying to hold off on Hysilens ultimate to save it up to the next wave. And because Kava is gonna be on the tutorial might as well be Kava's signature icon because of the ridiculous amount of energy regeneration, and Kava itself just doesn't really do that much damage anymore. So at this point we are gonna just stack on our skills, stack on our energy, stack on our skill points, and we are going to be very comfortably clearing this regardless. So you're going to see 400,000, he's going to summon his baby Manta Rays, and at this point he's just going to start charging, which is not going to be too crazy because by the time the next DOT procs, he's going to be almost dead, right? So you can see he deals almost no damage whatsoever. So at this point, we do want to just go in for the base attack, saving up all of our skill points as well as our ultimates for the next phase. So after you kill this main body, the 2 summons is going to be having the exact same animation from the goldfish that Automatron summons, and then this guy's just going to die to the DOT. So now we enter into phase 2, which is going to be quite straightforward. Exact same thing, Black Swan activates your ultimate, Kafka is going to land a follow-up attack, and then afterwards Hysilens is going to come in with the ultimate, and because of the tutorial mission begins, we do get enough energy to activate Kafka's ultimate right here for every single one of the DOT triggering all together for 496. Then Hue casts the energy regeneration as well as the attack buff to rotate our team once again. So as you can see, 340k, not too big of a deal, hits us in the face with the day thingy. Don't worry about it because we do have a sustain over here anyways. Activates our vulnerability debuff, and unfortunately Kafka's follow-up attack landed on the Manta Ray, but we just have to deal with it. Afterwards, Gepard is gonna go back in for the shield, which honestly doesn't matter at all because you know Black Swan will pop the shield away, and eventually here the DOT is gonna bring him down 553,000. And because Gepard is a single phase boss just as Svarog, we're not gonna be dealing with the issues like Aventurine, where after this guy changes phase, all of the DOT gets cleansed away, right? So because of this, it's a very straightforward boss. Kafka goes in for the skill, goes back in for the ultimate, and once Hue goes back in for the base attack, Gepard is gonna be more or less here 466,000. Yeah, then one more basic attack, he's pretty much gonna be done, right? So you can see over here, these are the stats. I'm not sure why we're doing that. Go for the basic Kafka follow-ups, and that is gonna be our zero cycle. So you can see pretty much the exact same principle that we use for the Svarog side. It is very similar, albeit that Gepard does not have wind weakness, but don't worry about it because he does have physical weakness, which means that Hysilens bleed and everything is still gonna be kicking into effect. As per usual, stack on your energy with wave 1, and then once you enter into wave 2, ideally you have full ultimate ready to go. Open up with Black Swan, followed by Hysilens, then with the Kafka's follow-up attack or whatever energy regeneration, pop open the ultimate, and lastly activate the Hue's ultimate and give your team the attack buff as well as the energy regeneration buff, right? So that is gonna be the Gepardo zero cycle, and now we are gonna go into the final boss. So this is going to be the final boss, and yes, that is going to be the upcoming version 3.5. I'm guessing we're going to see in the MSQ Tyros Ligas, right? Bro is literally Ultron from Avengers Endgame. I will be making a separate video for you guys with regards to how Ligas mechanic works, specifically for non-zero cycle, whatever team you want to cook. I tested him out with a lot of different teams as well, so this is specifically just for the zero cycle. So if you want to see how Ligas works, please check out the other video that we're going to be posting very soon, right? So at this point, we are going to be going for the Malefic Ape as well as a general from Xianzhou, so a little bit of a throwback over there. For this specific setup, we did in fact opt to use for Robin instead of Run Mei, because the additional action value is going to be giving out quite a lot of benefits, especially when you see Liger's mechanics later on, right? So in the start, it's pretty much going to be the same exact thing. Don't really need to worry about it too much. He goes back in for the Robin basic, and now we're going to activate our Kafka ultimate, getting rid of all the mobs. And one very important thing to take note is you do not actually want to use Robin's ultimate in the very first wave, because you want to conserve the energy as well as the action value for the next wave, right? So because we already deal enough damage with our setup of E1 for our entire DOT team comp, so this team is going to be more than sufficient even if we do not use Robin's ultimate at this point, right? So Malefic 8, one basic attack, boom, he instantly goes down. And then for this final guy over here, the moment he's going to take one more hit from Kafka, he's pretty much going to die. So I was thinking to myself, okay, do I just store it out a little bit more because maybe we can get a little bit more energy? But this one, you know what, nah, don't worry about it. So I'm going to be going for the skill on one of the minions, but he's definitely going to be dying to the DOT anyways, so it doesn't really change anything. Going into the wave, you instantly want to activate Robin ultimate. This is absolutely crucial, because otherwise you can see over here, he's gonna be outspeeding our entire team, because this is despite the fact that we have very not too bad of a Chevy subsets, right? So you want to instantly activate Robin's ultimate, give our team the area-wide triple 100% action value advance, pushing this up above him before he even summons the rest of the goons. And that is also very important, because if he summons the goons before you, there's a chance that Kafka's follow-up attack might miss and hit the goons instead, which is not ideal, right? So now we're going to instantly activate our Hysilens ultimate, goes back in for the follow-up, and I'm going to wait for, ideally here, gets in the shock stat as well as the vulnerability. Now Kafka activates the ultimate, follow up by her skill, 593,000, and yes, we do have Ligers with 5 times HP bar with essentially no phase change, which is why Ligers is a very decent boss, especially if you're going to be dealing this with, for example, DOT, because every single time you're going to stack on all of those things, he's not going to really change too much, right? So we're just going to go in. Black Swan is going to cast the defense down, followed by an ultimate, and then we do have a vulnerability from Black Swan's ultimate over here. Pop this ultimate when the minion spawns so we can deal with the war armor sets a little bit faster. So get this up, another follow-up, get rid of one of the mobs over there. Unfortunately, we didn't hit the main target, but it is what it is. We're down to 4x HP remaining, and this is going to come back in and hit us in the face, which is no issue whatsoever. Now we're just going to continuously go ahead and aim Ligers and ignore everything else. Kafka is going to definitely take out the minion with the DOT trigger. So at this point, just aim Ligers, 965,000 damage, and this is going to be a single target DOT proc of 923k. Absolutely ridiculous damage of 767, and at this point, he's going to go for the AoE, which is not going to be dealing too much damage. So this is the special mechanic with Ligers, which I'm probably going to be talking about in the Netbird video, which is he will let your unit instantly take an action as well as giving you full ultimate restore, right? The full energy restore. But if you activate your ultimate, your own unit, so for example, Kafka over here, if we activate the ultimate, she will take quite a decent chunk of damage. So the entire purpose of Ligers is more or less for like your HP scaling DPS and your casuals and my day. So after you cast your ultimates, then you will cast your heals to bring back up again. So I can foresee casters being absolutely diabolical against Ligers or even Mighty, right? So at this point, we're just gonna go as per usual. Kafka is gonna go ahead and activate all of our Thingamabobs, even though we're gonna be getting a little bit hit, but a free ultimate is gonna be a free ultimate. So after this turn, he's gonna generate his 2 more Titan Kins, and then this is gonna be 4 out of 4, which is gonna cause the Ligers to change phase. So he's gonna change phase over here, and the moment he changes, we can see all of the things essentially still stay. Right, you can see all the debuffs over here. It is still not gonna go away, even though his face technically changed. So it's like a single boss with no face change mechanic. It's more like a transformation mechanic, right? So now he's gonna summon the Muguns, and then because he summons the different minions, we are gonna deal with them right here after Hysilens goes in. And then afterwards, it's all gonna die. He's gonna die. And the thing with Ligers is once this thing reaches 10 out of 10, he's gonna start dealing a ridiculous amount of damage to your entire team. So you basically want to try to kill him before this actually happens. So now this is gonna go for the reset, and he's gonna give us a little bit of a hit. And this is the exact same mechanic. So he gives us 2 of our unit 100% action value advance push up. So we're gonna do the exact same thing. And because this is the final HP bar, you basically just want to go all in at this point, right? I was thinking to myself, do I have enough ultimate for Bubbin's energy regeneration? For Bubbin's ultimate to give us an extra turn? But I didn't know. I was thinking, okay, he's down to the last 8%. He's 1% HP. I have Kafka ultimate. I have Blessed ultimate. And I thought that Kafka ultimate would kill over here. But unfortunately, you can see Kafka's ultimate actually did not kill. So what I should have done, Something's never changed. 1.5 billion, absolutely ridiculous. So what I should have done is actually cast Black Swan's ultimate first, because Black Swan's ultimate actually doesn't deal as much as Kagura, so there's a chance that the minions actually don't die, and then I cast Kagura's ultimate to guarantee the final 1%. But because we killed all of the minions for this ridiculous 1.59 million HP screenshot, he's gonna activate his evolution mode, and he's gonna do his massive hit, big booms, and our entire team, or not our entire team, but 2 of our units were basically at 1 HP. We are gonna have to proc our global passive over here, and at this point, we'll finally let go of the final attack from Black Swan's ultimate, slams this back in, and then Kafka's follow-up attack is gonna trigger our Zero Cycle against Liger's, right? So this is pretty much it for the Liger's Zero Cycle. And once again, I will be breaking down a separate video discussing how his mechanics actually works, but I would say for DOT, it's pretty straightforward. You just wanna, before he actually does his evolution mode, just try to deal as much damage as possible, and then eventually you shouldn't be facing that big of a sustained problem, because Liger's himself doesn't deal that much damage. The annoying thing for Liger's is that the minions that this guy summons is gonna heal by quite a bit, right? So as long as you can kill every single one of them before they even take actions, then it's gonna be completely fine. So these are the builds that I ran on my Kafka. 151 on the E1S0 DOT set with the Revelry on energy regeneration rope, as well as a lightning damage boost, speed boost, as well as EHR. You basically want EHR for every single one of the units that's going to be on DOT. For Hysilens, it's pretty much going to be the exact same thing, except we're going to be on a attack percentage over here and as physical damage, because I did notice a little bit of the times where my Hysilens actually want to hold off the attack a little bit more and saving the ultimate for wave 2. So going for the attack over here just to amplify our damage a little bit further. But if you want a little bit more consistency, definitely go for the energy regeneration rope on Hysilens, right? And then this is going to be 171 speed with the E1S1 3k attack, running attack percentage rope instead. Then Rame over here is going to be at 160 with Dance. Ideally, I actually want this to be a slower Rame, but I can't be asked to go and find like a HP percentage boost. So slower Rame with Dance is still going to trigger over here, especially for the Aventurine part if you do not have enough speed to outspeed Aventurine, right? Then for the Robin build, this is going to be pretty much your standard Robin build. You know, I just ran the 4-piece musket auto equip, didn't really change too much about it, right? Fleetless, all the kind of stuff. Yep, very straightforward. This should be on EHR body. You do want to make use of Kafka's EHR trace over attack percent, so definitely change with EHR, but again, I just didn't optimize it that much. So that's going to be our E1S1 Robin, and then this is going to be our Black Swan build, which is going to be having the Hysilens signature light cone, because I did mention E1 Black Swan does benefit quite a lot from Hysilens signature light cone, so I did a little bit of a swap rule, and Hysilens is actually going to be on Black Swan signature light cone, right? So Black Swan signature light cone actually gives you a ridiculous amount of personal damage, right? And Hysilens is going to be pretty much one of the biggest damage dealing factors in DOT team con. So Black Swan itself, 149 speed with the exact same build. This is also going to be on an attack percentage rope, wind damage boost, speed, as well as EHR. So that is going to be pretty much it. And one last build, that is going to be our Huo 141. I basically just pressed full auto, didn't really change too much. Energy regeneration, HP, speed, as well as outgoing healing. For the, I guess 4-piece buzzer buy for the 1 skill point is going to be quite useful as well. E1S0, and that is pretty much it. With that, we have come to the end of Hysilens Quadra Zero Cycle. I'm going to be making one more video specifically for Theorem Ligers just in a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Let me know what you guys think of the performances of DOT. Once again, this is not to showcase, you know, oh, he's Zero Cycle with 200 cores or 1 core, whatever. This is just to show if you actually do have yourself this account vertical investment, then rest assured DOT performance is going to be very, very nice over here. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you're going to be putting for Hysilens or if you're going to be playing a DOT main after this. Word of the day is going to be fish. Join Twitch, join Discord, join our Patreon for all of our anime videos. Use code PILL for 10% off all the best. And we'll see you guys next time.